This podcast was recorded at the American headquarters of the Ethereal Society, located in Hollywood, California, where service is the jewel in the rock of attainment.
It makes you feel excited to be living in these days, really.
For a long time, and mankind, each and every one of us, has let a few people fight these battles alone. Where in our heart lies a brilliant spark that we can illuminate and throw out into the world and join the battle as warriors, spiritual warriors. Because there is a great tide of evil, there is obviously evil afoot. And we are able to successfully wage a campaign using the great divine power which we have as a divine right, and employ that power every day. And as we look each day as a campaign, as we look each day as a battle, then we can alter our mindset and say, today, where is the fight? The fight is either in our city, the fight is in another country. We can engage in that fight. And that's the kind of attitude that you can raise yourself quickly through karmic actions of this caliber, at the same time impact so many millions of people.
It's important to look at what they tell you are some of the tools of the battle. And we've heard in the first freedom that fear is one of the primary tools of the dark forces that are designed to kind of hold us back. And in this freedom, Mars Sector 6 states, if you would be free from the materialistic prison cunningly devised to enslave you, you would serve. So here he's also saying that materialism itself, which we find ourselves immersed in, is also a prison. And the way to get out of it is through service, through love. And it takes bravery.
We have the pleasure of announcing tonight from our temple here in Los Angeles of an upcoming series of pilgrimages to holy mountains of this planet. And Brian, I think it would be a good opportunity to talk about these holy mountains and what they signify.
Well, that's a wonderful way of giving service. We have in Los Angeles, we're fortunate to have a holy mountain right in our midst, Mount Baldy. Now, there are 19 holy mountains around the world, and these are mountains that were charged by the Cosmic Masters, an initial charge going through our master, Dr. George King. And it was done to give us a battery, to give us a source of energy that anyone can contact and send out tremendous power and energy. It has been said that if you go onto one of these mountains in these days, you can send out as much love and light as only an adept could have done in the past. And that's a tremendous amount of energy. And you can really feel that energy when you're up there doing especially the 12 blessings. And the next one that we have in Los Angeles will be on May 19th. And of course, we have these pilgrimages all over the world.
Yes, in England as well.
We have mountains in even one in New Zealand, I understand.
Now, an opportunity. This, ladies and gentlemen, in the old texts of our world's history, there are stories told about holy mountains that were available to special people, gifted people, unique people, and people climbed the mountains and they followed, let's say, Moses of Mount Sinai. There have been many mountains that adepts would charge and use as positions of transmitting vital energies to the world as a whole. However, the energy was not universally available to all people. And I'm speaking about children as well as adults. These 19 mountains are available, all arms wide open, to every human being that steps upon them.
We should say quickly, too, that if you want to find out where these mountains are, and you're listening to this podcast, you can go on to the website, and it lists all the holy mountains, where they are, and it also will list when the pilgrimages are for these mountains. So
yes,
you possibly can. You know, we're just talking, and so you can believe us or not, but the only way you will really know is to go. Go to one of these mountains and feel for yourself. Poet. That's good. Yeah.
Our website is www.aetherius.org. Mind you, we say this is kind of like funny because obviously you had to listen to the podcast going on to www.aetherius.org. However,
not necessarily.
Exactly. Well, we thought about this. We had some deep thinking. Well, if you downloaded it and gave it to a friend, they may not be able. They're not on the website at that time because they're listening to this podcast or one of the podcasts. So we're going to repeat our website from time to time. And as you're on this website and talking about these holy mountains, let's look at a book which explains, a very inexpensive book. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, the Aetherius Society, the publications presented or offered to the world are very, very, very low in cost. Nominal fees, charges. It's extraordinary how, from the very beginning, Dr. George King started the spiritual renaissance with a little bit of money, hard work, dedicated disciples who came around him, followers, and has continued to maintain a structure of non-profit, charitable actions with very little funds. It's amazing. So there's a book on the online store called The Holy Mountains of the World. It was written by the Reverend Charles E. Abrahamson, founder director of the American Corporation of the Aetherius Society. And it is an excellent book to explain in detail the nature of each mountain, the caliber of energy, the uniqueness between the mountains, and the type of gear you'll need to climb them, the time of months of the year to climb them, all around safety. Everything's around safety, because the Master King was very conscious of safety. Very conscious of safety first. So, if you're really interested in this holy mountains as a place to serve humanity in a potent fashion, hour for hour, if you're in Los Angeles and you're going to spend an hour at home and you have the opportunity to go up on a Saturday afternoon and pray for an hour on Mount Baldy, the choice is made for you. Go up to Mount Baldy.
Especially inside of a spiritual point.
And especially. That's the most potent.
We probably ought to move on to this next extract.
Yes.
You think?
This is the Master George King's extract, and
this is like an 8-minute one, I believe.
This is an 8-minute extract, so settle into yourselves. These are very special times in our history. These are unique times. This individual, listen with your heart to his words. Take it in.
This is a very interesting extract, this one. All right, Mark, roll number 6.
By your service you can throw a dazzling beam of scintillating white vibrant energy into the darkness of a suffering world and raise it. You don't know what you do in your room at night when you perform the 12 blessings, or when you throw your hands out and send a great surge of power through you, or when you have your groups and you send out prayer for the world from your groups. You don't know what you're doing. You might be doing virtual miracles for all you know. You may be, quite easily. You don't know what good you are doing. I'll tell you, if all the groups were to stop doing this, I think the world would be a sorry place. And I think if all the groups were to do this more and more and more, it would be a better and better place. So, my friends, the next time you do it, give it all you've got, not a half you've got, not 100%, 101%. Aetherius has given us some wonderful advice in the Aetherius Society. He says, do a job perfectly, and the next time you do it better than that. And that's the best advice. Never let your standards fall down for any reason whatsoever. You're dead if you do. You're dead, brother. You've had it if your standards fall. So keep your standards high. Keep everything you do high. Try to do every job to the best of your ability. This is one mark of a good occultist. You know, if the materialists in America or any other country had any sense, the first question they'd ask a person, what's your metaphysical training? That is the first thing that would matter before his education. You know why? The true metaphysician is the man who does everything well. Whether he's working for a boss or for himself or for the world as a whole, he still tries to do everything to the best of his ability. He won't take a second best. That's the true metaphysician. And if a boss had any sense at all, that's the first question he'd ask. And if the man said, oh, I haven't had any metaphysical training, he'd give a man a chance in preference to him, doesn't matter what his degrees were, who had. Certainly would. Because if he's a good metaphysician, he's a good man in every way. He's a man who tries to do everything good. The next time you join your groups and so on, really put the whole of your heart and soul into your prayers, whatever they might be, or your practices, whatever they might, especially if they're in service to the world, and really go ahead. Whatever group it is. Remember this, it's wonderful advice. We're plugging this thing, service. Why? Because you've got to repeat a thing over and over again before people thoroughly understand it. So next time you do it, give it the lot. And when you've given it the lot, give it that bit more. And you won't regret it. You'll come away from that service and say, my great Scott, I really feel I've done something. And if you don't feel you've done anything, you haven't in this respect. If you're sending out prayer for the world and you don't feel that any energy's gone through you, it hasn't. So feel, relax into it, but really give it what you've got. And then you will do good. It is, by God, it is the jewel in the rock of attainment.
Service is the jewel in the rock of attainment.
Now, here we come to a part which is quite outstanding. In all the occult books up to date, not in all the occult books, but in some of the occult books up to date, it has been put down that in order to gain a great deep state, we've got to detach ourselves from civilization, from all things that it means, go into a cave or a retreat someplace. Other than that, we can't really hit the high spots. Well, now, Mars Sector 6 not only says something about this, but he's done something about this. Whosoever was in meditation when this freedom was delivered on Wednesday, February the 22nd, 1961, must have got a tremendous mental kick in the pants. No doubt. Because when a person like Mars Sector 6 says, this I throw into the mental realms, it means he throws it into the mental realms. I remember the last time he threw something into the mental realms. You saw those pictures of those 125,000 people marching against the atom bomb in England. You know who was directly responsible for that? A transmission given by Mars Sector 6 was directly responsible for this. Before this, the anti-atom bomb people in England couldn't muster 200 people. Then he gave this tremendous transmission. You are responsible. And he says, this do I throw into every mental realm, in every known language upon earth. And then he made it clear about the dangers of the atom bomb. And my friends, the next meeting the anti-atom bomb people had, they had thousands turn up. And since that, they've had thousands come more and more. Doctors and scientists throughout the world, since this statement was made, came forward against the atom bomb. One speech given in May 1957, I think, was thrown into the mental realms. So when a master throws something into the mental realms, it's there. See what he says. One person who is rendering true spiritual service, not self-delusion. You've got to be careful of this. But the honest man, of course, is careful of it. But true spiritual service to those who need it is worth 10 who retreat from the suffering of others in order to bring about a state of joy and peace within themselves. And this is his declaration. This declaration do I throw into every mental realm. I would inform those sadhus who in total disregard of human needs retreat into the wilderness. I would say, come you hence, for you are fools. Now, if you've studied occultism at all, you will see in this the culmination of the great occult change which I spoke about earlier on. The change from the retreat from civilization as it used to be, now come in among men and work among men.
Makes you feel excited to be living in these days, really. It's interesting when he says it's a flip from what used to be to what is now. And it's something to really take home and really... We're in the ground floor of a brand new path back to God on earth, really. It's not so much a brand new one, but it's become the way to do it, and it has to be done now. The time is imperative to really jump in there and give this service and this love now. And we're the beginning pilgrims, really, on that change.
During the 60s, there was the hippie generation that evolved into the 70s, and all of the people talked about the New Age, the New Age, the New Age, the New Age. And throughout these last 30 to 40 years, you see this transformation from the New Age hippie type of mentality moving into the yogic principles. Everyone's doing yoga, hatha yoga, different kinds of yoga. Of course, health food is very big, the types of food that you eat. And, of course, mental imaging, processing, how do you think? Is it the correct way of thinking? These type of things are a evolution of the movement that the masters speak of. The dawning of the age of Aquarius is upon us. We're moving towards the new world. However, what we need to understand, I think, began in this last excerpt of our master, the Master King. He speaks of everything that you do it with all of your ability. Do it 101%. And in the arena of service, there should be 101% of your effort put into the work itself, the task that you set before you. Not, I don't feel well today. No, I haven't had my breakfast. No, I'm thinking about the bill I have to pay or how much money I'm going to have to make to pay the bill. Set your mind into the task and do it 110%. That said, on the spiritual level, his concept, having lived with him, as Brian and a few of us here, the Reverend Nielsen, we witnessed an individual who woke up in the morning and treated every task with an intense, dedicated, single-minded, determined way of saying, I'm going to either perform this to the best of my ability, and I'm going to do it with 101%, and the people that worked with him also needed to move in that direction as well. He had very little time to accomplish the tasks at hand. However, if a day was spent, it had to be spent with 100% dedication, 101% in your effort, and it could be a variety of tasks, not what you would consider spiritual. Things that would be changing the oil of a vehicle, checking a tape recorder to make sure that it was operating in case a cosmic transmission was going to come through in an emergency appeal for Earth to certain manipulations to occur. He was always touching everything and made sure that it was either operational or that he understood how it operated. And moreover, he had a wonderful, as we expressed last week, a wonderful love for everything that he touched, an appreciation for its value in the overall scheme of things in his daily life, which in part has affected all of us because of his dedication.
Well, we can be thankful, too, for his ability to really hone in on finding the best things and doing things to the best of his ability, because he did that in about 1962 or 63 with the recordings. He went out and researched with Charles Abrahamson and Lady Monique King which microphones to use for the recording of these extremely important transmissions. And he found Telefunken, I think it's an ELM 51, I think it was. And it's a superb microphone. Back then it was very expensive in its day, about $700. But he felt that it reproduced the sound of the Cosmic Masters through his voice to the very best he could find a microphone to do so. And interestingly enough, to this day, that microphone is considered to be the best microphone ever made. When an associate of Bill Gates wanted to buy the best microphone he could possibly find, he tracked down and had all the experts and talked to them and tested things out, and it turned out that they recommended the same vintage, the 1960s, Telefunken ELM 51. But he paid a bit more than $700 for it. He paid $18,000 for that microphone because it's considered the finest microphone. And that's what he did in so many aspects of his life. And it's and as Richard mentioned, he required those around him to do the very best that we possibly could. This is from everything. Driving a car, to planting a bush, to setting up a television to watch a program, to everything. Everything had to be done perfectly and quickly. I mean, you couldn't just take a long time and do something perfectly. No. Had to be done perfectly and quickly. It was it wasn't a relaxing time around the master.
And here you have a master of the masters who had a firm vision, a firm grip on the future of mankind, both the serious, horrible outcome of catastrophe, the serious, horrible aspects of nuclear catastrophe, and at the same time wielding his intelligence, his love for humanity through being available to be such a fine instrument so that the cosmic transmissions could come through him at any time, once again, ladies and gentlemen, 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days, year after year after year, on standby. Why? Because each time, as we explained in the beginning of the 9 freedoms, on the first freedom, not only was these precious teachings given to earth for us to study and to understand gradually or quickly throughout the years and generations ahead, but also we have here power, unique energies that were dispersed throughout the world whilst he was in this trance condition. So we have here a wonderful man, a master, who could foresee two eventualities, one of glory for all humanity, that all the planet would be living in peace, enlightened, or a horrible outcome repeating our history of the past. Lemuria, Atlantis, and go back even further, Maldek, the asteroid belt.
And that's why he had his absolute determination to do everything as perfectly as possible, because he knew the stakes. He knew the stakes. And he wasn't doing it just to practice a certain yogic principle. He knew the stakes were extremely high. And he tried to the best of his ability to get that feeling across to all those around him.
All the more reason why he repeats over and over again. Study the teachings, read the books, listen to the cassettes, listen, read, and absorb this wondrous energy that flows to you and upon you when you contact these teachings over and over and over again. Because that's the way this inspiration, which comes from the great masters, through your higher self, and it imbues your consciousness. And then you have insight, inspiration, understanding, skills that you've never known you had before. Magic that you hadn't possessed, you now wield it. Your life changes. And these basic freedoms that are a result of bravery and love, want, disease, one's lower self, all these different aspects start to meld away, and you open the door to your true divine heritage. And that's what we're talking about here.
I wanted to just jump on one point that Master King mentioned in his extract there, where he said, if you don't feel it, nothing's happening. And that might be a little bit discouraging, but what it really tells you to do is to don't just rely on your imagination. Really make that energy go through you. Just like he does everything as well as he possibly can, he's telling us to do everything as well as we possibly can, especially prayer. Don't just kind of put your hands up and then just say a prayer and say, well, I know that it's going to go through me because I'm doing the right thing. He tells you to do what you possibly can to really get that energy to flow through you and really learn to feel that energy flow through you. And one good way of doing that, to start to learn that, is to go to a holy mountain, because you're going to have a lot better shot at feeling the energy if you're on a holy mountain, or Operation Prayer Power, where you have 30 or 50 people behind you saying mantra, or with you. Then you can really start to feel the energy that much better. And the other secret that he gave one time is one of the secrets of metaphysics is memory. It's memory. If you have an experience somewhere on a mountain or in Operation Prayer Power or in the wilderness or at home doing a prayer, and you remember that feeling, you can then at another time, another place, try and recall that memory, recall that feeling, and you'll bring about the same conditions. You will learn to feel the energy flow through you, and when you feel it, as he tells you in this statement, it is flowing through you. I think it's a good.
That's a good point, Brian. That's an excellent point.
Keep in mind.
It's not easy. It's hard. It's like love is sacrifice, real sacrifice. Service is sacrifice. Your brother's keeper. There is a burden that's placed upon you, and sometimes living in the city, you have a dross, you have a weight, you get sticky stuff, because as you evolve in this process of service, you become naturally more sensitized. And as you're sensitized, you begin to feel many people's feelings, and sometimes you're in a situation, you get kind of imbued with these energies of other people. What can you do? Well, the Master Aetherius gave to the world a very beautiful, powerful, direct method by which you can cleanse your aura, cleanse your physical structure, cleanse the subtle bodies. That is the practice of the presence. So tonight, at the closing, I think that possibly we'll ask the Reverend Keneipp here to guide us through the practice of the presence tonight. It's available, by the way, through the Ethereal Society. And the violet flame, which is a part of this practice, has been a practice and known, and actually was provided to the planet or to humanity through members of the Great White Brotherhood quite a few years ago. So it's nothing new there. But the combination of these three flames in such a short time can correct and bring you back to, in the world of computer explanations, default mode, in a word. You're purged. You're purged. You come back to a homeostasis, a balance, a reboot. Yeah, there you go.
I'd like to just read this one prayer from the 11th blessing. And it occurred to me that the second half of this prayer describes the first three freedoms. And that is, of course, bravery, love, and service. And this is, again, like I say, from the 11th blessing. So if I'm going to read it, might as well place your hands up and get some energy going out as well. But especially tune in once it gets to the part where fall upon the heads of all these earth children really describes the first freedoms. Almighty, wondrous Jehovah, let the light from your heart, let the love from your heart, let the power from your heart fall upon the heads of all these earth children, so that they may be made strong and wise and capable of unselfish love, so that they may be able always to render service to their brothers. Now let's all place the left hand on the solar plexus, the right hand over the left, sitting up straight, relaxed shoulders, feet flat on the floor, breath long, deep, slow, mind clear and at peace. And then send your mind upwards, high above the world, and visualize a brilliant, scintillating white light. And then bring this light down through the ethers, down filling the head and brain with this wondrous power of Almighty God. And then bring this energy, feel this energy, flow down further, filling the heart center, located just in front of the breastbone. Once you feel it there, feel this vibration, then send your mind down to the wondrous Goddess Earth. Humbly request from her violet flame of transmutation, and allow this to flow up through your feet, upwards further through your legs, upwards into this heart center. Feel its presence in the same heart center. And then visualize just above the top of the head a golden globe representing the spark of God within each one of us. Send your love and your compassion to this spark of God. And then bring together and amalgamate the white light and the violet flame in the heart center, and send these energies upwards in sacrifice into this golden globe. And then gently request the golden rays of spirituality from this spark of God flow down gently to every aspect of you. Let this golden energy rain down through your aura, through your physical structure, gradually filling up every aspect of you into a golden ovoid, suspended in space, perfectly at peace, becoming one with God itself. Om Om Om. It is done.
That is the practice of the presence. We have it available once again on our website, www.aetherius.org.
It's contained in the Practices of Aetherius.
Yes,
Practice.
wonderful little book.
And also in the book Realize Your Inner Potential. May 19th, yes. Saturday. Well, there's two ways. One is you can come here, and then you can carpool to Mount Baldy, and you come here at 7:45 in the morning, and the other way is to go direct to Mount Baldy. But if you come here at 7:45, then you can carpool, and it's pretty much most of the day. If you go to the lower level, there's two levels we go to. One is a lower level, which is a chair ride up, and then about a 15-minute walk, quite an easy walk, and then there's many people there. The other way is about an hour and a half to 2 hours of a walk up to the 9,000-foot level, which is much more rigorous. And the lower level would get you back into Hollywood probably about 4, and the higher level you probably wouldn't get back into Hollywood until more like around 6. The whole day, yeah. But you need water, hat, sunscreen, a little bit of food, good shoes, the things that you can imagine.
So those of you interested, contact the Aetherius Society and get on our mailing list. Go to our homepage, and you'll see a box that you can type in your email address, and we will send you the upcoming events, such as this forthcoming pilgrimage to Mount Baldy, of which there are several throughout the summer, by the way, so we have
5.
opportunities. 5. So I'm going to end here with Mars Sector 6's final 2 sentences of the third freedom, and we'll end tonight's class. Service, my friends, is greatness. Serve and be great. Nay, be everlasting. Good night.
Thank you very much.
This brings to a conclusion the third freedom, service. Next week, we will continue our study of the 9 freedoms with the fourth freedom, enlightenment. For those of you who wish to inquire further, please contact us at www.aetherius.org, your cosmic connection. Thank you.